After the trailer premiere for Judd Apatow's brand new film, King of Staten Island, I was psyched to see it, and I'm sure many of you guys are as well, because it got me in the vibe of singing, I'm on the pursuit of happiness, and I know. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today I'm going to be discussing King of Staten Island, which is funny because Judd Apatow directed this movie, and that dude's kind of like the king of making dramedies of the sorts, and it stars the likes of Pete Davidson, Marisa Tomei, Burr, Bel Powley, and Maude Apatow. This is a movie that I was really looking forward to. Again, that trailer I loved. And when it comes to Judd Apatow movies, I've liked each and every one of his movies. I find Funny People to completely be a misunderstood masterpiece, and in general, all of his other films always make me laugh, they always make me care, and they always feel sincere, and in general, they feel real. Like, they feel and develop over time such great characters and emotions, and each and every one of his films has always been able to do that, and I was really hoping to get the same thing with King of Staten Island, because this is Pete Davidson's first big role in the leading spotlight. He's always been the background character, even especially in Big Time Adolescence this year. He had a bigger role, but he was still the secondary character, and in this one, he is the full-fledged character, and I think many people kind of give him crap. You know, Pete Davidson does say a lot of dickish things in this world, but I think this film in particular will get him a little bit more respect when it comes to him being an actor, and maybe even a person, and understanding him just a bit more. I think it's quite special to see that this is really much dedicated to his father, who did pass away, and it's honestly quite unique to see how they were able to bring that into this light, and I think this is the way of Pete Davidson, maybe even being able to get a little bit of therapy into that part, and maybe understand him a little bit more, and feel relatable in some natures that he has to go through. Of course, if you guys are new here, though, make sure again to hit that like and subscribe button. If you enjoy being a geek like me, if you love talking movies, I want to keep talking them with you guys, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Don't miss out on content like this on a daily basis, as well as comment down below and let me know your guys' thoughts. Are you guys excited for this movie? Are you not? Let's discuss it. Staten Island is about Scott, who has the case of Arrested Development since his firefighter dad had passed away. He spends his day smoking weed, dreaming of being a tattoo artist, until events force him to grapple with this grief and take his first steps towards life. Again, this is a movie that I feel like will be therapy for many people. Many people will be able to relate in certain instances, in particularly with this element, especially if you've ever grieved over a loved one, especially someone who's very much close to you. And King of Staten Island really takes that route in such a brilliant way. And I think that's where I have to start out with, is the directing in here. Judd Apatow, again, is once again the king of making dramedies. And I think he's always been good at developing comedies that can really feel realistic and feel real to people, and actually you really come to care about each and every one of the characters. He's done this before with Trainwreck, who, again, Amy Schumer, I don't really love her, but I love Trainwreck and the way they're able to develop her character in there. Knocked Up, Funny People, 40-Year-Old Virgin, whatever you want to say, he's always been a really great job at building these characters up. And King of Staten Island, he does an excellent job with that, and seeing how Scott is able to develop as a character, and again, seeing the grief and the tonal shifts that we have that come about him, are some of my favorite parts about King of Staten Island. It is a long movie. It's 2 hours and 14 minutes, and, you know, that's a typical Judd Apatow movie for me, and I was expecting that, but to be honest, when the film ended, I kind of wanted it to be a little bit longer, because I was so invested into this character. I wanted to see where he was gonna go next. I think, honestly, that is one of the most fascinating parts about this film, is how that they play that out, and in general, how interested you get into his life and everything revolving around that. I think the one thing I do give props to this is the pacing. This always comes different to people. People love the pacing in some Judd Apatow movies, some people don't. I felt like the pacing for this one actually, for the most part, was quite good, and that 2 hour and 14 minute runtime just flies by like that. Not everyone loves Judd Apatow movies, and I get that. I'm a little bit biased when it comes to this nature, but the thing about these films in particular is when he's able to grab a character that we might think is a complete dick, and not understand why he is acting the way he is, but really make us feel like we are in his shoes, and completely develop him into a 180 by the end of the story. It really suits me so well for King of Staten Island, because again, this is really pretty much Pete Davidson playing Pete Davidson, but in a more dramatic role. And I have to give him props for that, because this is a very funny movie. There are very hilarious moments, and thankfully the trailer did not give away a lot of these moments, because there are some moments where I was like busting out laughing, and a lot of that is because, not just because of Judd Apatow's directing, not because of the writing either, but really because of Pete Davidson. He kills this role. Some of the comedy in here is really dark, and not everyone will love it, not everyone will appreciate it, but for me, who can actually relate to some of those elements and some of the stuff that he's gone through, it was very much relatable in those efforts, and I really much fell for him, and fell for his character, and understanding how he kind of gets through his grief is through humor and sarcasm, and I'm a really sarcastic person as well, so I really appreciated that. Actually, in general, this movie made me respect Pete Davidson a little bit more, and it felt like I was diving into his mind, just kind of how like Honey Boy last year with Shia LaBeouf kind of was a dive into his mind and therapy for him. I felt kind of the same way with King of Staten Island. Obviously, they are two completely different genres. I really feel like the relatability aspect from both of those films are really tied into both of these characters so well. While we're talking about performances, of course, Marisa Tomei is always going to be great, but truly the big showstopper in here, and really the scene stealer, is Bill Burr. This guy is fantastic, and I think Judd Apatow uses him perfectly inside this movie. I think those performances overall, knitted within the humor and the drama aspects, just makes this film feel real. A lot behind this film, and everyone nails their role so well when it comes to the comedy, the emotional parts, and in general the dramatic efforts. But with that all said, it does just feel like a real film, and realistically looking in on someone's life and seeing what steps they are taking to really take those next steps into bettering themselves. Dramedies have always been a major part of my life. One of the first films I ever saw from Judd Apatow was Funny People, and ever since then it really took me into a new perspective of filmmaking and analyzing film. And Funny People was that one that made me look at it and be like, I love this movie, but it's not what I expected it to be, because I expected it to be a full-on comedy growing up with Adam Sandler films, but it wasn't what I expected it to be, and that subverting of expectations was what I really loved about that movie so much, and in general what really makes me appreciate and kind of love King of Staten Island. Adding on top of this, the first half of this film is perfect. I was so into this, so locked into this character and what he was going through in his whole entirety. But then when it kind of got to the back half and as this stuff starts to change and stuff starts to tinker, I was still along for the ride, but as it's building up to the finale, I felt like the story structure kind of took a shift that I didn't personally love. Still really like the movie. Maybe even a second watch could change this. This is still one of my favorite films of this year. I just didn't appreciate the story structure that they took to getting and building up to that finale, because the last shot in here is excellent, but I felt like it was a little bit rushed getting to that final shot. Maybe I feel like it just could have been a little bit longer. There was maybe 20 more minutes of stuff that I could have used in here, or maybe they could have just structured it a little bit better to really focus in on the changes that he was making for his life. But still, even with that said, it still felt like a relatable journey, and one that I can't wait to take again. Before I give you guys my final thoughts on King of Staten Island, make sure you get a comment down below. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Are you guys excited for this movie? Are you not? Let's discuss it all down below in the comments section. And as well, hit that like and subscribe. And if you want to be a geek like me, if you want to keep talking movies, I want to keep talking them with you, as well as head on over to Cinematography Films on how to see films early. And of course, just a big thank you to you and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters, because without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. Staten Island is what Judd Apatow does best. It's dramedy. He's the king of dramedies. He knows how to mix comedy and drama so well and bring it into such a relatable and realistic approach. This really gained more respect in my book for Pete Davidson as an actor and as a person, and I'm excited to see what he does next with his career. I think he's great in here, and Bill Burr might steal the whole entire show in here because he is fantastic. This is one of the better films of this year so far, and given a lot of films haven't come out so far this year, but King of Staten Island definitely won me over in the end. Some of the story structure is a little bit iffy towards the end of this film, and I think the first half is so much better. It's so perfected, but again, still a really likable movie, and one that might improve on rewatches. And honestly, by the end of this day, I can state this, that Pete Davidson is the King of Staten Island. So with all that said, I'm gonna give King of Staten Island a B+. Thank you guys again so much for watching this video. You guys are seriously all the best. Look out for a ranking of all Judd Apatow's directed films coming later this week. Can't wait to discuss that one. That one's going to be a fun one, in fact. So thank you guys again so much for watching this. And of course, until next time, stay classy and stay on the pursuit of happiness. And I know